Good morning. Hello and welcome from Hillwood Estate Museum and Gardens in Washington, D.C. We're so pleased to have you joining us this morning for our virtual Spooky Pooch Howl-o-ween costume contest. My name is Rebecca Singer, and I work with our public programs team at Hillwood. I'm really thrilled that we're all able to gather together in a virtual environment this year to continue our annual Spooky Pooch tradition. This is actually the 10th year of our Spooky Pooch event, and we didn't want to let current events keep us from celebrating our canine friends together at Halloween. So we're really glad that so many of you entered your pup in this year's costume contest and that you're joining us this morning. And we really look forward to being able to gather together as a large group again next year, we hope, once more on the lunar lawn for this event. As many of you know, this program is inspired by Hillwood founder Marjorie Merriweather Post's love of dogs. You can see her here at Hillwood holding her dog Scampy. But of course, we also hold this program because we couldn't resist the opportunity to see adorable dogs in their Halloween finery. All right. We've got a fun program planned for you today. I know we're all looking forward to seeing the parade of pooches a little later in our program, but first we're going to start our celebration with some special guests. One is a pre-recorded interview, and then we'll also have a live presentation. For those of you who visited Hillwood before, you may realize that we take special inspiration for our Spooky Pooch event from Hillwood's dog cemetery, which is so appropriate for a Halloween celebration, of course. But there's really nothing spooky about this intimate garden. It's just off Hillwood's lunar lawn, and it's in a quiet, shady spot. It's filled with sweet dog statues. You see two of them here on the picture on the screen. And there are 10 headstones that are carved with the names of some of the special dogs in the Post family. It's just a really touching tribute, and it shows the great affection that Marjorie Post had for her dogs and that her daughters had for their family dogs as well. Earlier this month, Hillwood's executive director, Kate Markert, got together with Ellen Charles, who's Marjorie Post's granddaughter, and also Hillwood's president emerita. And Kate invited her to reminisce about her family's beloved dogs who are memorialized in the dog cemetery. Their conversation was recorded, so I'm really excited that I'm going to get to share some highlights from that conversation with you today. Ellen Charles is the granddaughter of Marjorie Post, who is the founder of Hillwood, and Mrs. Charles' mother was Adelaide Close Riggs, who's Marjorie Post's eldest daughter. Adelaide was born in 1908, and she passed away in 1998. She was an esteemed dog breeder, and she even judged Best in Show event at the Westminster Kennel Dog Club show at Madison Square Garden, which I'm sure you'll agree is quite an accomplishment. In a moment, we're going to get to watch two clips from the conversation between Kate Markert and Ellen Charles. The first clip is about 3.5 minutes long, and it begins a tour with Mrs. Charles of the dog cemetery. You're going to get to hear Mrs. Charles describe who a great variety of the dogs were who are memorialized in the cemetery. Before we listen, I just want to give you a little bit of context about who a few of the people and places you're going to hear referenced in the conversation are. You're going to hear Mrs. Charles mention that a number of the headstones were moved from Hillwood, Long Island to Hillwood in Washington, D.C. Before Marjorie Post moved here to D.C., she had a home on Long Island, and it was named Hillwood. And Long Island University acquired that home from Marjorie Post. You're also going to hear Mrs. Charles mention that one of the Great Danes, either Lady Margaret, Rags, or Tiger, might have been in the portrait. And here she's referring to a beautiful painting of her mother, Adelaide, which has been displayed in the past at Hillwood. And you're seeing it here on the left side of your screen. And on the right side of the screen is another picture of Adelaide, Mrs. Charles' mother, again with a Great Dane. So now let's listen to a bit of this conversation.
Teeth. So now we're going to ask about all of our beloved house dogs. So I think we've talked about Patsy just a little bit. So can we just go through and figure out who, because these are all of the headstones for the house dogs.
Mm-hmm. Well, a great number of the stones are from the Hillwood in Long Island when it was sold to the college.
Yeah.
She took the headstones, and so they're from Long Island. And then as time went on and some of the family beloveds died, these stones were done for them.
In the family dog cemetery. It
Yeah.
makes perfect sense.
Yeah. And Lady Patsy was a schnauzer, just like her, but just like Scampy next door. I don't know who Tubby is. Tubby is not somebody.
I love that name though. Who
Yeah.
who cannot love a Tubby?
Yep.
So then Scampy was the one who lived at Hillwood.
Yeah, and Scampy's the one we just saw pictures of.
Right. Okay.
And then there were two Scottish Terriers. Mother had a show kennel, and she would go to England or to Scotland to buy dogs from time to time, and these are two of them who were successful and champions, and probably produced champions themselves. So that's their story.
So that's international champion. Now,
Yeah.
is this one Lauriston Lorraine is the one an international?
She completed her championship in Europe. I mean, in England, and then came over to the United States and finished her champion there. And I think probably had puppies, and was probably a house dog in the end. But anyway.
And then Merlewood Hopeful?
Merlewood something.
Hopeful.
Hopeful. Another one she bought, and she finished her championship, and I don't know that much more about her.
Lady Margaret, known as
Margaret
Skinny?
was one of the Great Danes, known as Skinny, and whether it's Skinny that's in the picture, I don't know which one of the Great Danes is in the portrait.
Oh, I see. Right.
But it could be her.
It's quite a come down to be named Lady Margaret and then be called Skinny.
I know. Lisa is the German Shepherd.
Now wait a minute. What happened to Rags, Tiger, Bobo, and Rolly?
Oh, they're behind the picture.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Those were more of her Great Danes.
I see. Okay.
So it could be one of them in the picture too.
So that was great to hear Mrs. Charles walk us through some of the memorial stones for a few of Marjorie Post and Adelaide's beloved dogs. Next, we're going to hear Mrs. Charles reminisce about dogs owned by her aunts, Eleanor and Deanie. These were the other two daughters of Marjorie Post. Deanie was the actress known as Dina Merrill. This clip is a little more than 2 minutes long, and it begins with a touching, somewhat sad story about Lassie, who was a true protector of her home and human family.
Lassie was my Aunt Eleanor's Skye Terrier.
Oh, that was a Skye Terrier. Okay.
Skye Terrier. And Lassie, there was this, sad story that I don't know, there was a rat where she was, Aunt Eleanor, who lived a great deal of her life in France, came back to the United States during the Second World War, and there was evidently a rat problem in her home and in Kalorama, and Lassie was trying to kill it, and then there was a whole question about whether Lassie had rabies, and I think they had to.
Oh, my.
It was a sad story. So anyway.
Oh, terrible story.
But I think Lassie is in. There's a beautiful picture at Hillwood of Aunt Eleanor with her. Maybe it's not Hillwood, but it's one of the pictures of Aunt Eleanor with her dog.
Oh, lovely.
Yeah.
And then
we
have another daughter.
Coco. Now what?
Creme de Coco is
that Deanie?
That's Deanie's standard poodle.
Oh, and then I think the other Coco was Julia Sibley's dog. That's probably what it was. And then Alden Sibley was grandmother's godson, and Julia was his sister, and grandmother stayed very close to both of them during her life. And so Julia had Coco, and then Petit Chou belonged to Ellie and Alden Sibley, and they thought grandmother should have a dog, so they gave her Petty Shoe,
I
who
see.
extremely well behaved and very elegant.
I see. So it's a
Now,
little
then after Petty Shoe came
scampy.
the Scampy.
So she tided her over there before Scampy arrived on the scene.
Yeah.
So I hope you enjoyed our special tour of the who's who in the dog cemetery. And I hope you've gotten to deepen your understanding of how the canines in the Post family were certainly beloved house dogs, just as their memorial stones proclaim. I'm so glad we were able to share this conversation between Kate Markert, Hillwood's executive director, and Mrs. Ellen Charles, granddaughter of Marjorie Post, with you today. We certainly thank them for taking the time to share those stories with us. But I'm happy to say that is not the only special presentation we have today. Next, we're going to interview live our head of archives and special collections, Jason Speck. He's going to share more about Hillwood's best known dog, Scampy, who lived at Hillwood when Marjorie Post did. And I have to say that over the years, as I've worked on Spooky Pooch costume contest program, I have had a ball looking through the archives and seeing Post's love of dogs reflected in all aspects of her life. And I'm delighted that we have Jason here today so he can show us some of the materials he's discovered as he's been digging or pawing through the archives. Jason, before we get started looking at the items you've discovered, could you just start by telling us a little bit about what you do at Hillwood as an archivist?
Absolutely. So an archivist, the way I describe it, is sort of cross between a librarian and a historian. It's our job to gather the historical documents in whatever form they might be, and to categorize them and organize them, and obviously keep them in a safe and protected environment. But equally as important is to share those materials with whoever wants to see them. In this case, sharing them with the Hillwood community. So we keep these materials so that folks can come and do research or see something like here at this Spooky Pooch event.
That's great. Thanks for helping us understand the role of an archivist a little bit better. Also, you and the archives and special collections are getting ready for a pretty big move coming up soon. Could you tell us a little bit about that?
Absolutely. So here at Hillwood, we have an archives, which is currently located on the 3rd floor of the mansion. And then we also have a library, which is the former chauffeur's house, which is right adjacent to the visitor center. Hillwood has never had the opportunity to have a proper archives with temperature and humidity control and things like that. And we've never had the opportunity to have it all in one space. So right now we're in the final stages of production of the Collections and Research Center, which is being built below the parking garage. And it will be the first time that Hillwood has been able to have its special and rare book collections, as well as its archival materials, all together in one space. And, as somebody who works in archives and libraries, it oftentimes, when you are hired to work in a given place, the building is the building, and you rarely, if ever, have the funds to change it. And so whatever issues the building has, and almost every archive has them, you pretty much just have to deal with them. So the fact that we're going to be able to create a state-of-the-art repository from the ground up to take care of all of these precious objects, to me was an exciting opportunity to be a part of. And we're in the middle of getting things ready to move, and we're very, very much excited to be in our new dig sometime late spring next year.
Wonderful. That is really exciting news for the archives and for Hillwood. Thanks for sharing that. And now we'd actually love to hear just a little bit more about what you found in the archives about Marjorie Post and her dog Scampy.
Absolutely. So archives to me are a million stories just waiting to be told, and Hillwood's archives is no different. Here today, we're going to talk about Marjorie Mary Post and Scampy. Scampy was the dog at the end of her life. Scampy was born in 1957 and passes away in 1972. and Marjorie, as we know, passes away in 1973. So it was really the two of them together for all of Scampy's life and for that remainder of Marjorie Post's life. They were very close, as you would imagine that Marjorie would be with all of her pets. If you look at the document dated February 1971 on the right-hand side of the page, the final sentence at the end says, all my warm regards to you and Dr. Merrill, and a hug for my young man. Well, if you look at the correspondence that Marjorie sent back and forth, particularly to the border in Pennsylvania late in Scampy's life, she is always referring to Scampy as her young man. So there's a very close relationship between the two of them. One of the other things that we know about Marjorie Post is that she was very keenly interested in the concepts of pedigree and provenance, where things came from, who owned them previously. Is this a top of the line, high quality object for the art collection and things like that? So you would imagine that as she expended that much time with her art collection, and of course she hired in 1958 Marvin Ross, a curator, a world-renowned curator who had been working at the Walters Art Museum, to help her do the research into the provenance of all of her art collections that she had created during her lifetime. She extended this also to her pets as well. So if you look at the document on the left, what you're seeing is a certified pedigree document for Scampy, which actually goes back 4 generations. So you can look at Scampy's lineage going all the way back to his great-great-grandparents, which is fascinating. On the right, you see the certificate that was presented for Scampy. It's Scampy's American Kennel Club registration certificate. And here we can learn some other things about Scampy. So we see his date of birth. It's July 19th of 1957. We see who sired him. That's Fancy Free Fanfare right there. And his mother, Paulette Sugar and Spice. Herbert May was the breeder. And of course, you may recognize Herbert May as being Marjorie's 4th husband. And he was also a dog breeder as well. And this was most likely a courting gift, as the two of them would not marry until a bit later. So for many years, as long as Scampy was able to do so, wherever Marjorie traveled, Scampy traveled. So we see Scampy here on the left, sort of soaking up the rays at Mar-a-Lago down in Palm Beach, Florida, Marjorie's summer home. In the center, he's reclining on the couch next to Marjorie at Camp Topridge, her home in the Adirondacks. And on the right there on the stairs, you have Scampy and Rico. Rico was Marjorie Post's personal secretary's dog, and they spent a lot of time together. And I think I misspoke just a second ago when I said that the picture on the left was her summer home. That would have been her winter home, obviously, in Florida. No one goes to Florida in the summertime. So now another interesting story about the picture of the steps on the plane. Marjorie did not like flying at all until she married Herbert May, and Herbert convinced her to take a plane flight with him. And once he did, she absolutely fell in love with it. And that's what made her buy her own plane, the Merriweather, and have it retrofit for her comfort. And of course, that became her preferred mode of transportation, and thus it became Scampy's preferred mode of transportation as well. So Scampy, as I mentioned earlier, towards later life becomes too old to handle the rigors of travel. And so Marjorie begins boarding Scampy in Pennsylvania, most likely at a border that was recommended to her by her husband, Herbert May. And so what we see here on the screen are just some clips from some archival documents that we have of Marjorie giving some very specific instructions to the border about how to take care of Scampy. And again, this is commensurate with everything that Marjorie did. She had a very specific reason for doing things the way she did them, and she wanted them done in a very specific way. And so you can see here that, you know, starting at the top, you see that Scampy has his own system of stretching and exercising, which includes working on the ears, which is obviously very important. In the middle, you can see a couple of different quotes there about diet, about how Scampy likes to eat, what Scampy likes to eat, and how it needs to be prepared. And then, of course, on the bottom, you can see some information that she gave to the boarder on how to take care of Scampy's skin. And these are just some snippets of some multi-page documents. So you can imagine that there were many, many other statements just like this in terms of how she felt that Scampy needed to be cared for. So in this slide, I'm riffing a little bit off of the famous Andy Warhol quote about how in the future, everyone will be famous for 15 minutes. Scampy did in fact achieve his 15 minutes of fame during his lifetime. Marjorie Merriweather Post was the subject of a major profile in Life magazine in 1965. And during the year 1964, one of the things that was done was that a photographer came to her places that she lived and took numerous photographs, obviously, for use in the article. What we have here is a letter dated November 30th of 1964 from none other than world famous photographer Alfred Eisenstadt. And he's talking to Marjorie about the pictures that he had taken of Scampy previously, which he decided he was not very happy with because he agreed with Marjorie that Scampy wasn't brushed correctly and that him laying down on the pillow was too distracting. And he said, I don't think the pictures do Scampy justice. And Marjorie agreed with that assessment. And so Alfred Eisenstadt came back down and took more photographs of Scampy sometime after that, although he did wait until Marjorie felt that Scampy's coat was at the proper length. And so what you see there on the right is a photograph that Alfred Eisenstadt did and sent to Marjorie Post, which she absolutely adored. And as you can see, no pillow, Scampy is standing, and the hair is at the appropriate length. So at least for a little while after that Life magazine came out, Scampy was one of the most recognizable dogs in the world. And I just want to close here with something else that I've seen in the correspondence about Scampy and something we see in the photographs of Marjorie and Scampy together. This is, again, instructions to the boarder. And at the very bottom, it says, you know, do give him a big hug. We miss him terribly. And of course, we have 3 photographs here. The first one, which you saw earlier, is Marjorie hugging Scampy at Hillwood. And of course, the second is at Camp Topbridge. And then finally, the one on the right is at Mar-a-Lago. So this has just been a little look into the archives and specifically into Marjorie's relationship with her dog Scampy. I hope you enjoyed it, and thank you all for coming. It was a pleasure to be here with all of you this morning.
Well, thank you so much, Jason. That was really interesting to see what you've uncovered about Marjorie Post's relationship with her young man, Scampy. I think all of us dog owners can relate to that special bond that the two of them must have had together. We really appreciate your taking the time to be here with us this morning, so thank you. And now it is time for the main event, the canine costume competition. We had 32 pooches who submitted photos or videos, and I bet that many of you watching this morning are eagerly waiting to see your pup pop up on the screen, and we can't wait to show them to you. So let's get this pooch parade started. First up is Ella, the adorable Ella. She's dressed as a Beanie Baby, which are those snuggly stuffed animals that everyone wants to have. You can take a look at Ella's very own homemade Beanie Baby tag. She really does make you want to snuggle with her. And next is Clara the Poodle, who we're told decided to enter the contest in honor of one of her role models, the late Supreme Court Justice Ruth Bader Ginsburg. Clara's human has assured us that being a poodle, Clara has a keen appreciation for Justice Ginsburg's grace, intelligence, and beauty. So here is Clara Eulalie Eglantine Edna Love's homage to RGB. Now this is Clementine the Bulldog, dressed as a bride all in white. We're going to see Clementine walk down the aisle.
Stay. Come on.
That was Clementine. And now we have, next up is Sir Mushroom of Whitley Park, dressed as a pirate. Sir Mushroom is a 10-year-old rescue. And don't you just love that parrot perched on his hat so perfectly? That is a great pose, Sir Mushroom. Here we have Lulu Olive Valentine Emmylou, and she is an absolutely adorable witch. I think she's probably a good witch, don't you think so? And Lulu, great job using your magic to keep that hat on your head. Now this is Sailor Oliver Scout doing his best impression of a pineapple. He looks like he is a very satisfied piece of fruit. He's enjoying his time chilling out on the couch. Here is Lucy dressed as a bear. She is 5.5 years old and was rescued from DC Paws. Her human tells us that they believe Lucy is a Brussels Griffin mix. And just look at that little face and those bear ears. She is so fuzzy and adorable. I just want to pick her up and hug her. Now this is Macy, who's decided to pose as the beloved children's storybook character Heidi. Macy's human tells us that she's particularly enjoying wearing those blonde braids because it gives her a new look from her usual black Labrador Retriever fur. In addition to the yarn braids, Macy's costume brings together a folksy apron as her Bavarian dress. We also heard that Macy got extra treats for posing as long as she did for this photo opportunity. Next up is Callie as an Ewok for all of you Star Wars fans out there. Ewoks are those furry creatures made famous in the Star Wars movie Return of the Jedi. And Callie certainly looks ready to meet Princess Leia or head off to the moon of Endor. Next up is Maggie, who's dressed as who many have said is one of the most talented musicians of his generation, Prince. Maggie's human tells us that she lives a glamorous life, and we can definitely tell that Maggie looks like she is about to rock out here in this picture. Well, our next contestant is going to remain anonymous. We actually didn't get a name for this pooch or pooches, but we have two costumes here, and this dog wears it very well. We have a bear and a pirate costume. This is Dina, dressed in her costume titled Election Girl. With only a matter of days before the next presidential election, Dini's costume is both patriotic and oh so of the moment. Here we have Cooper as Super Crab. Cooper lives in Westmont, New Jersey, and we're told he often visits DC so he can visit his cousins Ronan and Jack. Cooper, I love the cape. You look ready to go off and save the world, Super Crab. Here are dogs Ren, who's the Black Terrier mix, and Ginger, the Reddish Beagle mix. They're posing with their human. And as you can see, they're all dressed as the classic children's book author Dr. Seuss's characters in The Cat in the Hat and Thing 1 and Thing 2. And these costumes are entirely homemade. This is Bentley, the 16-month-old golden doodle, and he is the biggest bumblebee I've ever seen, but also the most cuddly. He is absolutely an adorable bumblebee puppy. Next, we have Lola Hensley, age 3 years old, and she's dressed as a spider. I think she looks like she has many fun Halloween stories to spin. Our next contestant has created a whole tableau for our enjoyment. This cute pup is ready and at our service. And if you can't see what she's saying, it's thank you for choosing Starbarks. Barkista Faith here. What can I get started for you today? This is Dolce in her hand-sewn Playboy bunny costume. She looks pretty happy out there in her yard running around. And this is Maxie, who's an adorable long-haired Chihuahua dressed as a dinosaur. Maxie is very resourceful and actually borrowed his costume from his human's great-grandson for the occasion, just so he wouldn't miss out on the Spooky Pooch event. And here we have Buddy. He is a dog of many costumes. I'm going to play his video for you, and you'll see how many different costumes you can can see here. We're told he hopes his cool dude vibes get him some treats. Oh, whoops, that one didn't play. Let's go back. So there are two dogs in this costume. There's Tenley. He's a 6-year-old rescue black and white Cocker Spaniel. And we are happy to hear that he's actually a Spooky Pooch veteran. He learned how to work the crowd from his brother, Jensen. New this year, along with Tenley, is a 1-year-old black Cocker Beagle mix, Reed. He was recently adopted and he's still pretty scared and shy, his human tells us. She says Reed wasn't quite ready to wear his whole costume yet because that was a little too scary, but he was brave enough to sit down right beside it. So way to go, Reed. Tenley and Reed are in homemade costumes that depict their human's favorite kind of rain, which, as you might guess, is raining cats and dogs. Here are Ellie and Louisa. They're American Kennel Club registered cardigan Welsh Corgis, and they are dressed, if you haven't already guessed, as Elsa and Anna from the Disney movie Frozen. Their human Judy, who was with them in the early slide, is appropriately dressed as Elsa and Anna's mother, the Queen of Arendelle. And these are their glamour shots. Next, we have Patrick, also an American Kennel Club registered cardigan Welsh Corgi with his human, and they are dressed as Beauty and the Beast, also inspired by a Disney movie. We're going to watch a video where we can absolutely see why Beauty fell in love with this adorable little beast.
This is Katie Lynn with her cardigan Welsh Corgi, Patrick, and they are Beauty and the Beast.
This is Finn the Labradoodle. He's dressed as a Viking and he's surveying his territory at Quiet Waters Dog Beach. While the Vikings were mighty warriors, I think Finn looks a little more friendly than fierce. Don't you agree? Now this cute pooch named Dinah Litwin is truly part of an ensemble cast here. The whole group is dressed as and has the exact right attitudes of the characters from the Emmy award-winning television comedy series that follows the formerly filthy rich Rose family as they're reduced to living in a ramshackle motel. Our pooch there is dressed as Stevie, who's the motel's clerk, and is surrounded by her human family depicting Moira, Johnny, Alexis, and David Rose. Now, for those of you familiar with the show, you'll know why I'm trying desperately not to have to pronounce the show's name. Suffice it to say, it rhymes with Splits Creek. Here is Ludo. He is not alone. He's got his little baby panda friend nearby. Oh, did it again. Pressed the wrong button. Please bear with me as I make sure that I get this little guy's costume name pronounced correctly because it's a little bit of a pun. The name for his costume is Pandemic. So our panda from the pandemic. Just adorable. This is Rufus, and he has fully embraced his rodeo roots. let's take a look at him running. Don't we all wish we could be as
Come on in, cowboy.
carefree and home on the range as this little guy is. So take a buzz at these two. Their costume ensemble is entitled Flight of the Bumblebee. Annie the Bumblebee is a new 11-week-old yellow Labrador puppy. She is just so little and sweet. These two together look sweet as honey. Here is Hera, a 10-year-old black Labrador who's dressed as a charioteer's trusty steed. Her human said Hera would much rather sleep than run like a horse, but she still enjoys posing for a photo. And these two pups are neighbors, with Lady, who's the 11-year-old on the left, and Thurgood, who's just 14 weeks old on the right. They're dressed as Cam and Janice from the teen comedy movie Mean Girls, starring Lindsay Lohan. I hear it took a lot of treats and effort to keep those sunglasses on long enough to snap this picture, but we are glad they had success with that. And this costume is titled Bright Blue Dots in a Red State. Here, Canine Ben poses with his human, and we also have a guest appearance by a feline friend, Pratt, as well. Look at that close-up of Ben with his puppy dog eyes, too adorable. Oh, and our parade concludes with Sprocket, who's defending his couch from the cats in his battle armor. You can tell he's pretty fearsome. You keep licking those lips, Sprocket. You're going to keep those cats at bay. So that was wonderful. Thanks to all of you who have participated by sharing your fun photos and videos of your lovely dogs. I think we should all give our participants a big Zoom round of applause for that amazing job they all did. It was great to see all of that and everybody's effort and those adorable pooches. So now is the moment you've been waiting for. It's time for our award ceremony and to hear our winners announced. Winners will receive by email a special paw print certified Spooky Pooch certificate of achievement, not to mention bragging rights and the admiration of your fellow contestants. I'm going to announce the winners of each category, and we'll conclude with our top dog winner, who's our best in show or best overall winner, who in addition to the certificate will also win a 1-year family membership to Hillwood. Hillwood members enjoy the special benefit of getting to explore Hillwood's gardens and the lush woodlands with their 4-legged friends every Sunday morning. So if you're looking for a new place to explore on your walk with your pups, I absolutely encourage you to check out membership information on our website at hillwoodmuseum.org. As we announce each winner, we're going to celebrate them each with an enthusiastic round of Zoom applause, and let's just show everybody our appreciation for the great job they've done today. So for our first category, we have a few judges' choice categories. And the first one is Best Choreography. And the winner of that is Patrick and his human Katie for their excellent moves in the Beauty and the Beast costume. Yay for Patrick and Katie and Beauty and the Beast. Next, we have Best Use of the Black and White Color Palette. And the winner is Dinah Litwin and her family dressed as Stevie and the Rose family from Rhymes with Splits Creek. Yay for Dinah Litwin and family. Now on to our official categories. The best homemade goes to Ren and Ginger and their human Katie for their Cat in the Hat and Thing 1 and Thing 2 costumes. We were especially impressed by the incorporation of the face mask into the costume. Yay, good work to Ren, Ginger, and Katie. Congratulations. In our most glamorous category, we have as our winner, Clara the Poodle for her homage to Ruth Bader Ginsburg. The beaded collar is absolutely stupendous. So hooray for Clara. Wonderful job. Now for best owner and dog combination, we have Annie and her human Julia, and they win for their Flight of the Bumblebee costume. We absolutely love that beekeeper headscarf on the human and the bee antenna and wings on the pup. These were homemade costumes as well. And in our cutest category, we have Ludo the pandemic panda. He is just too cute. For funniest, and congratulations to Ludo and to the Buzzy Bees as well. For our funniest category, our winner is Rufus the rodeo dog. His antics down the corridor in his video were hilarious. Great job, Rufus. And new this year, the public had a chance to vote for their favorite entry on Instagram. So thanks to all of you who voted and helped spread the word through social media. And our winner in the new audience favorite category was Faith the Barkista. So yay, congratulations to Faith, good work. And now for our top dog winner, our best in show. And the winner is Tenley and Reed in Raining Cats and Dogs. We loved the accessories and the custom designed umbrella. So great job to all of our winners. Let's give a round of applause, a Zoom applause to everyone who's participated and everyone who's joined us this morning. This was wonderful to see all our dogs in costume. Thank you all so much for joining us today for our Spooky Pooch Howl-o-ween costume contest. We could not have had such a wonderful program today without all of your support for this Dog Lovers program. We hope you enjoyed seeing these cute and adorable funny pooches, their Halloween finest, just as much as we did. And we also thank Mrs. Charles, Kate Markert, and Jason Speck for being a part of today's events. Please remember that Hillwood is open by reservation for self-guided visits, and it's a great time to see our fall colors and seasonal displays, like you see in my background picture, which was taken at Hillwood. So please come visit us in person. And be sure to check out our website calendar for more virtual programs and other ways to explore from home. And if you aren't a member of Hillwood, consider joining so you and your pup can partake of the member benefit of being able to walk your dog at Hillwood on Sunday mornings in costume or not, however you prefer. So thanks again all, and have a wonderful afternoon. Happy Howl-o-ween to you all. Goodbye and thank you.